and you've got it, you know, and you're on your way to Heber City, I think it was, Heber City, Utah, where you had to fill out forms in order to get booze. I didn't drink much, but you know, it was a very well, you can see what the locale was like. Anyway, the answer to the question is, I didn't read the script until I was given the script after I got the part. But it was a job, you know, it's a job. That's the way actors work. You get a job, and I guess that could be dangerous, but you know, it was a horror film, and I knew that. It was fun.
Basically, I would say the same thing. It was an opportunity to work. I did not see the entire script. I just saw sides and went to a casting session in the Valley, and one thing led to another. And the next thing I knew, I was reading for the producers, and then I was on a plane to Heber, Utah with Britt and a few others.
You on a plane?
Well,
Rob, so this is your first film, right?
yes, first film.
And then so you get the script. When you finally read the script, are you shocked by it? I mean, it's a really, Michael, I gotta tip my, what is this? My habit to you. I gotta tip my habit to you. There's such a strange dichotomy to the film. There are some parts that are so overt and deliberately hilarious and play straight for laughs, but it is so dark in so many places. I mean, you just destroyed the moral fiber of Christmas, and I love Christmas. Yes. But so back to Robert, you get the script, you read it, it's your first time making a film. What are you thinking when you see this?
Well, it was my first time really in front of the camera, so this was all very new to me. Actually, when I got to Utah, there was a woman there who actually played Mother Superior, Lillian Siobhan, who's since passed. But she was also an acting teacher in the Valley, and I found that out once I got to Utah. And we were going to work some of our stuff together, and I went to her room, and basically I paid her cash out of my per diem pocket to run through the entire script with me. And that was the first time that I'd seen the script.
What motivation did she give you for Punish?
You know, no real details. She just said, you know, just kind of, you know, bring it from somewhere that if you want to do something bad. You know what I mean? She said, you know, just find something in there. And really, I was so new to the game that to find something that was, well, what I found is what you got. And, I was so new to the whole scene that every aspect of filmmaking, every bit of it, you know, from the first moment of meeting the producer and the director, everything was brand new to me. So it was an incredible ride. I loved it. It's been 30 years now, and I run into folks all the time that absolutely love this film. And I'll tell you, at the time when it first came out, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Right? I mean, you know, since then I have 3 children, a lovely wife, and lots happened since then. So I didn't know then when I first made the film, you know, of course, you know, what's going to happen with your life and whatnot. So it was a great start to the Hollywood thing, but I did shortly thereafter take a break and work on you know, building a family.
So skip ahead. Scott, you said that you guys were cut out. Michael, were you involved in the filming at all, or were you out as well? Did you go to the Podunk, Utah, wherever the book?
What I think it's probably typical for screenwriters is once you turn in the script and you do your set of revisions, it's somebody else's ballgame. And I remember thinking, if I went there, I was sure the director really wouldn't want writers standing around on the set second-guessing everything, which is exactly what I would have done. And so I never really thought too seriously about going. I'd been on movie sets before, so it wasn't going to be any great novelty. So I was not there for casting or any of the shooting or post-production. Once I turned in the script and somebody said they wanted to make it, I said, good, go make it. I'm done.
And then when you see the film, how's your response?
Yeah, well, the first time I saw it was at an invited screening, meaning the was invited before, this was before the theatrical release. And I don't know who all these people were, except they were a very well-heeled looking crowd, and none of them looked like they would ever go to see Silent Night, Deadly Night unless they had to. So the movie starts, and 200 people sat there in stunned, slack-jawed silence for an hour and a half. My theory was they thought it was in poor taste. I don't know. And, but I didn't hang around to find out. I left as soon as the end credits started to roll. Until tonight, I had not seen it in a theater again. And I must say this screening was a lot more fun than the one in 1984. The movie hasn't changed outside of there are some cuts in the print, but mainly that, of course, that was all because of you, so thanks.
And then, so the reason for putting this evening together is Death Waltz had released the score for the first time it's ever been available. So, Perry, it's an unbelievable score. It is absolutely just a twisted masterpiece that works so well in the film. It's so discordant. It's jarring. The scene when Billy at 18, when he goes into the house after the couple are making out on the pool table, you're just stabbing those keyboards. It's insane. Can you talk about the process of writing the score, how you became involved, and then obviously the end result?
Well, that'll only take a half hour. I mean, anyway, Morgan Ames, who wrote those wonderful songs that you heard, she got me the gig. And Ira Barnack was looking for someone to do the music. And I had just purchased some synthesizers. and I had a little Mac Plus computer with a 7-inch black and white screen. And a 16-track tape recorder and a Baldwin Acrosonic upright piano. And I had started to fiddle around composing music using these various instruments. And I thought, this is a great opportunity. I can make a lot of noise in a horror movie, you know. So I had a meeting with Ira, we spotted the film, figured out where to go, and I sat down in my room with my Betamax and a Beta tape with time code on it, and just figured out what I wanted to do and played it. That was the thing that knocked me out. Previous to that, I'd done nothing but orchestra work, and it was great fun to sit there. I mean, I played most of the scores, you can tell, with my fists, and it was great fun working on it, and then I went on to Mork and Mindy, you know. I mean that's, you know, and the theme from The Young and the Restless, which had nothing to do with this, but I had a lot of fun working on this picture.
So people that didn't have fun with this picture, the Parents Teachers Association, 1984, the film comes out. The opening weekend, this film outgrossed Nightmare on Elm Street. Crazy. And then it hits the fan. Can you all talk about your experiences during that controversy? I mean, I've got to imagine for Robert, people can see you on the screen, and then they see you in public. Same with you, Britt, as well. And then Scott and Dennis, I mean, like you're producers, you're seeing this thing explode and then disappearing. Can you talk a little bit about the controversy and then the response that you all received?
I don't think any of us expected. Yeah, I mean, you know, it was extremely frustrating because we had no control over that. And they made a, you know, pretty profound mistake by advertising time during Saturday afternoon.
We're watching a Green Bay Packers football game in the Midwest, and all the families are around watching.
It's like they didn't think it through. And then when all controversy started and the publicity, which was, you know, there's no such thing as bad publicity. You know, when you're making a movie, you know, you couldn't have bought publicity like that. Now they probably would have just, you know, kept it in the theaters and, you know, let it ride. But
I was in Boston on vacation visiting some friends, and it opened in the theaters all over the Northeast. And I got called to be on the Phil Donahue show. You remember Phil Donahue at the time had an afternoon talk show. And I said to my then girlfriend, I said, no way am I going. It's Mothers Against Movie Madness. And we're going to be on the show, and the focus of it was Silent Night, Deadly Night. I said, they could crucify me. So, there was just no way. I just didn't go. But I watched the show. It was pretty awesome.
I'd just like to say that I thought the whole controversy was great, and I thought it was wonderful, because I thought this movie would open in a few places and play for a few weeks, not make a ripple, and then vanish forever, which would have been very anticlimactic for us. But instead of that, the day after it opened, Dan Rather led the CBS Evening News with a story about Silent Night, Deadly Night. So that was pretty great. I got a call from Entertainment Tonight. I worked at Paramount, and that show was done at Paramount, and I knew some people there, and somebody called and said, are you that Michael Hickey? And I said, maybe. And they said, we can't get anybody to come on the air to defend the movie. Would you do it? And I said, absolutely. So I ran over and did an interview in which I basically did my best to excoriate the protesters. And they put it on the air the next day. And I thought it was all pretty hilarious. It must have been the slowest news week in history. It seemed like every newspaper in the country did a story on it. And it was endless, and then it ended. And it vanished forever, as we know. So until a week and a half later, when it resurfaced on home video, where it's had a very healthy life ever since.
Robert, can you talk about your experience? Because you're the face of this. So when the film comes out, is Public Enemy number one?
Oh, I don't think so. People Magazine, I did an article with them. They wanted to know my reasons for doing such a role. And like, we both just said that it was an opportunity to work in Hollywood, and so basically over and over again, I kind of continued to repeat that in the article. They wanted me to say that I felt bad for doing it or something. I don't know, but there's just another piece of the publicity as they're talking about that they pushed this thing, and here we are today. Pretty crazy.
So can you all just really quickly talk? Oh, sorry, Rick. Yeah.
This might or might not be a funny anecdote, I don't know. I was involved in animal rights stuff, and we were at a demonstration at UCLA, and we were faced off against the police. They were 50 feet away, 100 feet away, whatever, in lines, the protesters holding up signs about vivisection, etc., and the police across here. And we did our thing, and they did their thing with the shields down and everything, and the batons at the ready. Of course, we were very intimidating, all of us animal rights protesters. But when it was over, and everybody had packed up and ready to go home, and the police were, I said, well, I'm out of here. And one police officer, he might have been from UCLA or sheriff's or LAPD, I don't know, but he walked over toward me. And I said, well, wait a second, what's going on here? In my courageous way, and I stood there, and he pointed at us, and I stood there, and he came over, and he had his shield up now, which made me feel a lot better, and he said, I just want to ask you something. How did he get that axe in your head? Is that all you want to know? Anyway, that was the only reaction that I got from being in the film. It was a job, and I really can't remember seeing it. I'm not too sure. Did you see it? I don't know. I can't remember. It might have been blue.
Okay, let's take a a couple questions from the audience, and then what we'll do is after this, we'll all sign some records outside in the lobby. Do we have a couple quick questions? Anyone out there? Okay, the guy on the left, he's wearing a Santa hat, so.
Always wondered when watching the film that the snow seems very, very thin. Do you remember when you were shooting it? Was it very cold? Was it Christmas time? And did they have to bring any outside snow in?
Is the snow real, is the question.
I know for the fact that the snow, when there's that establishing shot of Ira's toys at night, you see the snow coming down, that was people on the roof throwing fake snow down. The movie was shot in March of 1994, so the snow was melting, as you could see in some of the scenes. But Dennis and I, again, were not in Utah because we were frozen out of the
Ostracized. Yeah, you ignored it. It's punished. Okay, there was a question right there next to Santa hat. Yes, you. Yes, you.
For the actors, what was the tone when you're making the film? Were they trying to both be scary, or was it just like being on the corner, you got the axe, look really angry? How did they get you in the mood to play a crazed Santa Claus?
So question for Robert, what was the tone, what was the direction?
It was, you know, I've been on a couple sets since then, and it's similar to any Hollywood set that you'd ever be on, you know. It's just that the content is what it is. So it just, you know, when we're not live, we're not shooting, right? When that's not happening, then it looks like any other Hollywood set that you've ever been on. But the moment it starts, and you know, for myself, putting on that suit was a little weird. So the moment I had the suit on, and the moment they said action, then I started having fun.
Okay,
And that seemed like it was the typical. That was the thread that kind of went through all of it. But again, it was like a typical Hollywood set. I'm sorry.
no, so white shirt right there.
I had a question for the composer. Are there any classical musicians or composers that influenced you in your work, and if so, who?
Harry, any classical musicians, composers that influenced you, and who would they be?
Oh God, all I can think of is Glenn Miller. Stravinsky, of course, and Stockhausen, and most of the Varese, a lot of the modern and avant-garde composers, they influenced me, but I basically came out of a pop background, and most of my work was in the pop rock field, and so this was an opportunity, and because it was electronic, I could just turn on the computer, turn on my program that I was recording into, and just play stuff. And if I would play something, I'd play something, and then I would rewind it and play it back and look at it with the film. And if it, to me, fit the particular scene and what was going on, that was how I did the cue. Then after I had done most of the film, I went back and started to embellish and add melodies and do extra percussion things and so forth. But I basically just watched the movie, played what I felt like playing, and then came back and hopefully tried to get it more organized. And it was that was my great classical technique.
Okay, next question. Is the lady waving right over there? Do you show the film to your families every Christmas?
My mother-in-law is in the last row. I've never seen it before. My wife and my son goes to it for 15 minutes. So first time for 2 of the 3.
It's fantastic. Robert, your family, you raised 3 kids, right? Have they seen the film? How do they feel about the film?
My daughter's 12. She has not seen the film.
That's good.
My sons, who are older, they have seen the film. Seems like they walk around the house the next couple of days and have a hard time looking at me.
right there, wearing the white shirt.
Right. The nudity was very tasteful, and I'm curious if Showtime HBO existed back then. Was it pre-sold?
The nudity was tasteful. I actually don't agree. The nudity was tasteful. The Showtime HBO wasn't pre-sold back then.
HBO, TriStar was actually formed in the mid-'80s when Silent Night was made. And TriStar was owned by CBS, Columbia, and HBO. So HBO was actually a partner in the ownership of TriStar at the time. And when the picture was made, TriStar had a cable output deal with RCA Columbia. So it was kind of, HBO was going to do, I think, the cable movie airings, and I think RCA Columbia Home Video was going to do the DVD. But what happened was when TriStar buckled to all this corporate pressure, because they were owned by Coca-Cola, I said, Park, all those deals just evaporated. And the producer, Barmack, ended up raising funds to buy the film back from TriStar. And that RCA Columbia Home Video deal disappeared, the HBO deal went bye-bye, and all new deals were made then down the line.
It's a really fascinating point. So when you read about this film, the belief is that it's TriStar, Columbia TriStar. They pull the film after the response. We just have a week or so after it comes out, 10 days after it comes out. But it wasn't necessarily Columbia TriStar. They were part owned by Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola, they sell a lot of Coke around Christmas time, and they were livid when this came out, so they put corporate pressure on TriStar, and then TriStar pulled the plug. So if you got Coke in your fridge at home, throw it the fuck out.
There would be big billboards all over the place in Times Square with Santa Claus with Coke.
Of course. Yeah.
This is the same company that's financing down around the block. Theater in Manhattan, Silent Night Daily.
In a sense, you can say Coca-Cola invented the modern slang. Because Coca-Cola and advertising, Santa Claus, the two since
synonymous.
The early 1900s.
Yeah. Okay. A couple questions. One right here.
One of the greatest posters of all time.
I agree.
Gord Klieger, who's an artist who I just talked to last year, actually designed the poster. And he worked at an advertising agency in New York. I guess they must have had a contract with TriStar or whatever. We did the job for TriStar. And he actually does alternate poster designs that I actually have the JPEG that were a woman opening the door, and you see Santa shot from behind with a bloody axe, and she's opening the door with him, and she's screaming, and he's got it. So there were some alternate things they tried. Nothing nearly as good as what ended up being the poster. Going down the chimney with Robert stuffing himself.
All right, let's take one last question. Daryl, you with your hand up with your phone in your face and
Yeah, I was just going to say, all right, that I first saw this movie when I was 11 years old. It just blew me away. And ever since then, I mean, this truly is, I think, the best horror film that I've ever seen. I just say, give yourselves a hand because it was an awesome film.
Thank you.
And just one other thing, the sequel is a disgrace. It's just an absolute, it's a joke. I'm sorry. The second one is just weird.
We got the director and the writer of the sequel set right here.
Just to answer Dennis and I have hoped to steer the ship of this franchise, that when we initiated this whole thing as the mother, father, whatever the project, we always saw the potential for a Silent Night Deadly Night franchise. And when we were frozen out, which often happens to young guys in Hollywood, you get screwed your first time out of the box, which we did big time, we unfortunately then had no hand whatsoever in 2, which was half of our movie. Half the footage in 2 is from Michael's script in the movie. And we had nothing to do with 3, 4, 5. So that was always a problem for us. We always wanted to
reap the rewards financially as well as creatively to steer that ship, and we did get the chance now.
Well, I think that's a really good comment to finish on, because this film is absolutely unbelievable. And that here we are 30 years and 5 or 6 weeks after the thing came out, and Friday night, it's packed, it's still a Christmas tradition. And, you know, everyone, Robert, Britt, Scott, Dennis, Michael, Perry, I want to thank you for having the guts to make this film, and especially for coming out tonight.